individuals that made some of these things happen. It's defacing the names of people whose lives were lost in something that they believed in, or even if they didn't believe in it, they were forced to, in many cases, go and do it. So to do that is a very, very sad thing, and it shows just how far we have come as a nation in an opposite direction, away from that American dream that they were once fighting for and once believed in. And instead, now we're sold a repackaged American dream, and that is, of course, a lie. And a repackaged American dream where there's no such thing as total and absolute freedom, and instead of coming to America and building something very, very great and very, very profound and making this country better than it ever was, or the world even. I mean, why can't the world participate in the American dream, right? Instead, I believe it has now been packaged into a system that we pay for the mega bank's profit, and we are taxed out the wazoo in order to help the mega corporations pay zero tax, right? So it's kind of been repackaged in a way, hasn't it? The American dream has been repackaged, except now, in some ways, it's a massive lie. That doesn't mean we can't still fight towards the true meaning of the American dream or what it once was. And it also doesn't mean that it's the fault of these soldiers that lost their lives fighting for the original American dream. And to say that we should deface war memorials is very, very disturbing and very, very sad. Now, that said, we've got some more news coming up, and Joe Biggs is going to join us from D.C. to talk about what's going on with the defacing of the War Memorial, some more Memorial Day stuff. And also, don't forget, InfoWarsLife.com. The Memorial Day sale is ending. 30% off across the board, a number of big supplements. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back. That's right. This is the Alex Jones Show, and I'm Anthony Gucciardi, excited and honored to be invited guest host today. We've got Joe Biggs on the line, and we're going to punch him up here in a second, because what's going on is the defacing of war memorials across the United States right now, namely about 3 different states. We've got vandals deface Vietnam War Memorial in Venice. From CBS Los Angeles, Fox News says that veteran memorials in 3 states vandalized ahead of Memorial Day, and some other similar headlines from different news organizations. And, you know, we were talking, if you didn't catch us on the last segment, that in my view, Memorial Day, what it represents is the people whose names we will never know, that died believing in something bigger than themselves. Not to even say that you have to agree with these wars. I certainly do not agree with the wars. The Vietnam War, the Iraq War, huge tragedies and very, very sad state of affairs. But it's not about the right or wrongness of the wars. It's about the people who died protecting something they held to be the American dream and protecting something they held to be the future of humanity, especially in such examples of World War II, when they would go in and they would put their lives ahead of anything, their mission ahead of their lives, which is a very, very beautiful thing. And for people to deface these war memorials is disturbing. And, you know, Joe Biggs, we played a video he had earlier where he was talking about some of this stuff, and some people started kind of, I would say, yelling at him. I didn't totally hear the audio, but they were saying he's totally incorrect. And so we've got Joe Biggs. I want to know what you think, first of all, about the war memorials that are being defaced across the United States on Memorial Day, and what you think that means right now for the state of our society. What do you think, Joe? And by the way, where are you? You're in D.C., right?
Yeah, I'm in D.C. Earlier today, Trump actually spoke here. There was over 500,000 bikers for the Thunder Valley, or the Rolling Thunder motorcycle rally that happened and took place earlier today. I mean, there's a lot of people. D.C.'s already a packed place, but you add an extra 700,000 people on top of it, and road closures and all that. It has been quite the day.
I can imagine.
But to get back to what you were saying, it is disturbing to see that people would do that. You know what that is? It's a direct reflection of the leadership we have in our country. That's pure and simple what it is. The fact that we have a president that could care less about its soldiers, about its veterans. He's out playing golf. He doesn't care about these guys. There's homeless vets all over the place. There's 22 suicides a day by veterans, and yet he's going and bowing down to foreign leaders, enemies, and he's also going to places like Japan and apologizing when, quite frankly, we didn't start the war, but we sure as hell finished it.
Well, you know, I think there's a component of, you know, being a kid now and growing up in kind of a weird sheltered environment where you don't have to deal with anything. And obviously there's the entitlement and stuff, but you go through the establishment process. You go and study hard in school so you can get in debt to go to college, and then you go to college and they tell you, you know, basically that Vietnam was horrible, which it was very terrible. But then they don't understand how real life works. And they don't understand that maybe the person that fought in Vietnam, whose name is up on that wall, didn't exactly agree with the politics, but they actually sacrificed their lives for something they believed in. Or, you know what? People are in terrible situations. People are forced to do things all over the world. World War II, you didn't exactly have to say, wow, I support this war, right? Or even Vietnam. They don't understand how real life works. They don't understand the problems that other people experience. They don't understand the real issue. They instead are just so self-centered. What do you think about that?
But warriors are a special breed. Not everybody can be a warrior. Not everyone has what it takes to go out there and decide that there's something larger than themselves out there. You know, when I was younger, I grew up. My father was in Vietnam. I had other family members who were in Desert Storm. I had friends and family who were just going into the first invasion in Iraq. And it means a lot to see these people say, you know what, I love you, or I love you, son, or whatever it is, you know, brother, sister, mom, dad, you know, wife. But there's something a little bit more important just in our family right here. You know, there's God, there's country, and family. And a lot of these are God-fearing men who decided, hey, I'm going to go out here and sacrifice my life. I'm willing to lay my life on the line to protect my country because I see something out there worth standing up for. And it's not our fault. It's not the soldiers' fault, the Marines' fault, the sailors' fault, the airmen's fault if we have corrupt politicians in place as well. So when Memorial Day is happening tomorrow, this weekend, this entire time, it's a time to reflect on those who made that ultimate sacrifice. It's not to complain about war, have a discussion about that. Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of bad war out there. War's not good. But these are special people who decided there was something a lot more important than them, and they decided to put their sanity on the line. They decided to put their life on the line, their family, their relationships, and all that. And that's something that needs to be celebrated, and that's something that needs to be remembered and reflected on this time.
Yeah, it's really well said. It's not about the politics of the war, like you just said, like we talked about earlier. Yeah, there's corrupt politicians that are making terrible, terrible decisions, and that's what we're trying to change every single day, right? But it's not about that. It's about their personal decisions. And it reminds me of this article. ISIS used to use 50,000 civilians as, quote, human shields as Iraqi forces blitz Fallujah. Now, think about the insanity.
That's so progressive.
Yeah, that's progressive, right? Think about the insanity, though, of the people that actually, like you, Joe, have to deal with threats like ISIS that are using 50,000 human shields. They're just the most despicably evil group in the world. And we have to, at some level, even if you are totally against everything on the planet, you have to pay some honor to those people that are willing to sacrifice their lives to deal with ISIS, because I certainly don't want to deal with ISIS personally. We don't want to deal with them here.
ISIS is a disgusting group. It's a terrorist organization, you know, but that's same as the movement we have right now, these social justice warriors. They spit on our flag. They deface our flag. They burn it. They for Christ's sake, there was a World War II vet that was beaten with an oxygen tank.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's ridiculous. There's zero respect with these young children that are growing up, and for some reason, it's cool to look down on veterans. It's cool to kick them to the curb. It's cool to make fun of them when they're going through a hard time, or to make fun of the fact that they're dealing with mental issues. You know, that's not cool, though, in my book, and then it's very disrespectful. And we need a leader who's actually going to stand up at some point in time, put his foot down and say, you know what, we need to have patriotism back in our ranks again. We need to see people proud to be an American, because I'm quite frankly sick and tired of going to these rallies and seeing everyone waving every single flag other than the American flag. If those countries are truly good to you, and if you really love all these other countries, then you should still be there and you should still enjoy what they have. But they have nothing to offer, and that's why you came here, for the American dream. And yet you want to spit on soldiers, you want to step on our flags, you want to burn it. And yeah, people always want to say, oh, you're glorifying a flag. No, it's not. It's the symbolism of it, what it means, the men and women who fought and died for that flag, what it represents, what America is. When I cut myself, I don't just bleed. It comes out red, white, and blue, and that's how I will be for the day I die.
And, you know, the old true American dream, the real American dream that many, many people died fighting for, applies to everybody. America, in its essence, the American dream was, hey, come here and be a part of it, right? Come here and partake. You know, the sad, sad story you were talking about is caregiver accused from the Herald Tribune of trying to murder World War II veteran with his own oxygen tank. Says, as a staff sergeant flying in bombing raids over Nazi-occupied Europe during World War II, Michael Nicholas Tristano flirted with death on a recurring basis. The former ball turret gunner cheated the Reaper again last week, but instead of dodging German anti-aircraft guns flank inside a B-17 Flying Fortress bomber, police say the 91-year-old veteran survived a savage attack inside his Northport home by the caregiver entrusted with his welfare. This represents a really, really sad state of society when they're defacing the memorials and attacking a 91-year-old veteran. 91-year-old period is terrible, but the very idea.
But it's this whole liberal. These professors that are teaching these college kids to hate their country. You know, what is it? How many memorials have we seen statues being asked to be brought down because it reminds them of something that used to be racist or whatever like that? Or they think that there's something racist about it because of the guy's name. That's ridiculous. Those who forget their past are doomed to repeat it again. Those statues are a reminder, yeah, we used to have a bad past. Or these memorials are a reminder, yeah, we went through some rough times. We need to reflect on that. We need to remember these things and make sure we don't do those again.
That's right. So tell us about what you experienced today and what you did in D.C.
Well, we got in last night. I was actually at the Vietnam Memorial. We were doing a report on the fact that the Vietnam Memorial in Venice was tagged, spray painted, whatever you have it, and how I thought that was, you know, a horrible tragedy for something like that to happen. And I was standing in front of the Vietnam Memorial wall in D.C.
You know what, Joe? Hold that thought. Actually, we're just about to hit the break right now, so we'll be right back, and Joe will explain what happened with that video when he got heckled for saying don't deface war memorials. This is the Alex Jones Show. We'll be right back. That's right. It's the Alex Jones Show. It's Memorial Day weekend. I'm Anthony Gucciardi, and I'm here with former Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs. He's live in D.C. We're talking about these disturbing reports about just defacing war memorials, women, caregivers trying to, a caregiver tried to kill a World War II veteran who was 91 years old with an oxygen tank over a money dispute. Just some really disturbing news on Memorial Day. There is some good news, obviously, as well about some war stories and some surviving stories and stuff like that. But we're talking about the state of affairs that we have to be in at this point, where it's cool to deface war memorials. And it's not about whether you agree with the wars or not. I don't even agree with a lot of the politics behind the wars, and it's Joe. It's about the truth of, it's not about the politicians and the war issues. It's about those who actually died fighting for something greater than themselves. And Joe, you were getting into earlier, before we hit the break, what happened today when you were outside of, I guess it was a war memorial, and talking about some things, and someone started heckling you. What happened?
Well, before we go into that, I want to speak a little bit on what you were just saying, the fact that we have veterans, you know, and we can't support all these wars, but we can support those people. And I find it funny that we have to praise someone like, you know, Caitlyn Jenner because, you know, this guy put on a dress and marches around. It's okay to praise this person, or it's okay to praise the Kardashians, but it's not okay to praise someone who sees something important, who sees their country, and who's willing to lay their life down on the line for that. So I find that ridiculous. Our priorities are completely out of line. Americans need to shape up. We need to find out what it is we want. We need to understand what it means to be an American. We need to have some patriotism again, because right now I see it slowly going away. Today I saw a lot of it, but when I go across the country, I see a lot of that fading away, and it breaks my heart. But about last night, I was in front of the Vietnam Memorial, and I was actually talking about three things: God, country, and family. Some of the three most important things that we have here. The fact that our country was built off freedom of religion. You know, the fact that this is a Christian country, and that is being attacked day in and day out. You can't even say prayers in school. You know, I've talked to kids who say they're not allowed to say a prayer before class or anything like that because it could be offensive to other things like that. And then you have the country, the fact that we have men and women who are willing to join the military and stand up because they see something worth fighting for, something that's bigger than their own lives, and that we have a family now, or we have these veterans who are being attacked. We have 22 suicides a day. We have homeless veterans all over the country. We have a president that goes out and plays golf. This is his hometown now. What did he do today? Nothing. But Trump came out here. And then we have the family that's being attacked. The fact that we can't say him or her, or we can't call somebody what they are, and we have to have this, argument over what bathrooms people can use. These three core things that Americans stand for are being attacked right now, and that's what I was talking about last night in front of the Vietnam Memorial. And this guy came up heckling me, and he's like, "Oh, that's BS," blah 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 blah. And I just told the guy he could, get the F out of here and go back to communist China if he wanted to, if he had a problem with how this is. And he's like, "Well, I have freedom of speech," and I was like, "Well, I have freedom of speech."